they do even no one make person talk. Them say that Mayegun, that man too they talk. He too they talk. Say Mayegun diary, he they hot like pepper. But every day then they take money in bulk. Woman picking they the street they hawk. Still them talk say make we no talk. But thank God say Mayegun don't come. So my people make you laugh. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo, my people make you shout. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come, man of the masses. Oh yo yo, Mayegun don't come. Oh yo yo.
Hello there.
Mayegun làwa mọ̀, làmọ̀ tó yẹ dodo. Mayegun làwa mọ̀, làmọ̀ tó yẹ dodo. Mayegun ti dé o, ọ̀rẹ́ ara yìí. Lórí Facebook, lórí.
Good morning to you, good afternoon to you, and good evening to you from wherever you are joining me from. This is Mayegun Live. Please, as usual, as you are joining us this moment, share the broadcast. Read the caption of the broadcast. Take your time and read the description of the broadcast as well. Share it. Invite your friends, invite your not so friendly friends, and tell them that Mayegun today.
Ani esuraki. Ọ̀jẹ̀lú esuraki. Ani esuraki. Lórí Facebook.
It seems that Kolu is already fighting a proxy war, political war, with Rufai, the Kaduna little finger, and it's time for them to out him, because he is suspected to have started playing his card, the card of dislodging Tifnumbu and all the scams that they perpetuated last year. The emperor is not going to kind of like that. Now they need to probe the little finger, the little devil, and all he did in Kaduna. I wouldn't say it is in your own interest. Just see every time that these rogues are supposedly fighting themselves. Do not share. So you don't try to share them up. Don't get involved in their war. Dele Parotimi advised us not to die in their war. Don't jump up and think there's something spectacular that you are going to get from them fighting. No, because most of the time they are infighting is because of probably like access. If they do not have access, like a lot of you don't, they scream louder and the loudest. And whenever they want to kind of silence one of them, for the reasons that is best known to them, right? Great. But here is your own catch. Every time the criminals in Nigeria kind of go after themselves, it's an opportunity for you to see through the mad country that somehow you are telling yourself will be great one day. And them exposing themselves is another opportunity too, for you to know why Nigeria can never succeed or survive, except for these ones that you are witnessing, using the blood of the innocent to sort of keep Nigeria together. Events like this are just reminders. That part. Motideo. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you. And good evening to you from wherever you are joining me from. It is Mayegun Live. And we are starting our story. It's kind of a two-wing, by the way, and so many other feathers. Okay? But the two-winged chat tonight, one is coming from Kaduna, where if you are from Kaduna, Celia, this should interest you. Before El Rufai, before APC, there was no bloodbath or war in southern Kaduna until the terror sympathizer and an alleged terror sponsor, El Rufai of Kaduna, became their governor, and all hell was let loose. Southern Kaduna became graveyards, courtesy the armed Islamic terrorists, Fulani terrorists. They wreaked havoc, and under the cover and protection of El Rufai, they were operating freehand. To make the matter worse, El Rufai hired enough hands to help tell the whole world that the victims of the terrorism in southern Kaduna under him, they were not victims. They were actually the aggressors. How can you be aggressors to those who came to meet you on your own indigenous land, ancestral land, the land of your own forebearers, armed, and started slaying and slaughtering people? And then you turn around to tell the whole world, they say, no, you are the aggressor. In fact, you are doing it because of the money people are going to donate for you, because you are a Christian. Oh, some Christian countries are going to give them money. I mean, the governor of a state that was supposed to be under attack of Islamic terrorists, Fulani terrorists, their governor began accusing the victims of being the aggressors. They are the ones who are those making all this trouble, and running to the media because Christian countries donate money to the victims of terror attacks in Nigeria. El Rufai, as their governor, not only that he dismissed the problems they were facing, he actually accused them of creating the problems. El Rufai said southern Kaduna Christians were the ones who were burning their churches so that they can collect donation. I mean, that was their governor. But yet, he was able as well to mobilize enough Olori Burukus from across Nigeria, the educated Bele lecturers, to help keep propagating and say, El Rufai, an amazing administrator. Man, you need to visit Kaduna. If you reach Kaduna now, oh my God, you need to blah, blah, blah. That didn't last, because even in their own 2023 charade, APC, Egbekegbe, was resoundly rejected, to the point that El Rufai started begging his fellow Islamic jihadists, especially Islamic jihadists, fanatics, from Kaduna, within Kaduna, and outside Kaduna. El Rufai was praised by these terrorists. Why southern Kaduna bombs? It was the best thing that ever happened to their Uthman Danfodio jihadist descendants. Is the development like Kaduna, northern Kaduna is Kaduna, southern Kaduna is not part of Kaduna. And whatever happened there, it is to help the people of southern Kaduna. Killing them, taking over their communities, their villages, their farms, sending them to IDP camps, internally displaced persons camps, to these terrorists, Islamic terrorists from northern Nigeria. That El Rufai is part of them, is to help those people. At least they were infidels anyway. So killings in southern Kaduna to this Islamic terrorist from the northern Kaduna and outside the Kaduna is only been exaggerated. Kinigan, what? Is it today that they are just killing people? Why are you exaggerating it? It's not that bad. You are only exaggerating it because you wanted El Rufai to look bad. Oh my God, we actually suffered those kind of gaslighting for 8 years for that Kaduna little fingers. But suddenly, the little finger didn't have his way inside the Kolu Tifnumbu's illegitimate regime. And guess who was the antagonist who stopped El Rufai from parading himself all about like Wike is currently doing? His own handpicked Fuji. I mean, they love that for cover up. After spending 8 wasteful years destroying people's lives and properties and livelihood, they still wanted their asses to be covered, never to be exposed. So therefore, they will fight tooth and nail to install a stooge, a cover as their successor. And they will do anything. They will move the mount, they will move the earth, and they will move heaven to ensure of that. All to cover all of their shady criminalities. But historically, they have never really succeeded in covering their asses because their excesses can only be merely tolerated by their own handpicked successors. There come the fights of control, the fights of freedom, kind of control and freedom. And that is what is playing out in Kaduna. But before that, El Rufai, like I told you, by his paid ass nuts to tell the world that he is in fact a potential presidential candidate, a future president of Nigeria. Well, it seemed that El Rufai had been outplayed in his own game of treasury because his name was forwarded as minister to the same National Assembly controlled by his own party, where all manner of illegality, criminality are produced. Their party has the majority. So why would they refuse him? Why would they reject him? It was so shocking until the report came later that he has always been considered a dangerous person, even by his own friends. All of these were just them trying to tolerate him, but now his excesses can no longer be tolerated. So it was a matter of time before he would start firing Tifnumbu and Tifnumbu's government. It was going to be a matter of time before he would begin to want to assert his authority over the stooge he installed. It was all going to be a matter of time. And as El Rufai, somebody who has never really done any real job in his life, he's never successful in anything meaningful in his life, except for all those useless, never useful courses they always go to. those 3 weeks, 2 weeks courses in Harvard, Oxford, where they went to go and get validation to present themselves as orators, administrators, managers of men, only for them to have the opportunity of actually reciprocating what they believe they must have learned from those places. Then their result comes back as abysmal failure, laced with self-aggrandizement, corruption, and name it. So yes, Rufai, for some reason, was able to put the woods over the eyes of the non-initiates. I'm talking about the few who are ignorant enough to see all those glossy, painted, stories put out there. While they are victims, they are real victims. Rufai, using the state instrument to attack the people of his own supposed states that he was supposed to protect, he decided to release them to the wolves they intentionally brought upon them. Then he turned around to victimize them. Tell me about if they teach them that in Harvard or Oxford and some of these Ivy League universities or whatever all over the world that they currently sort of flaunt on their different CVs. Come administration, they are born criminals. There's no amount of Harvard education or Harvard exposure. There's no amount of foreign exposure that will stop greedy people from ruining everything. That is beautiful. And that's exactly what Rufai represented. So like I said, it was a matter of time. He had no real job. Just like all your politicians. 99% of your politicians are bunch of jobless, careerless, nothing to show for rogues that will tell you they are doctors, they are this, they are that, they are engineers, they are this and that. But yet they are foisted on you a shithole. No apology, by the way. So let's go to it. About 3 weeks ago, Kaduna Little Finger started moving mad, having been rejected by the National Assembly for God knows. They said Rufai was a security threat. They didn't say more than that. How could I be a security threat? Who told you that? Sonny, the clown. The guy, he used all his might to install so that he could cover his ass. Had chosen otherwise, he was out to show to everybody who Rufai is and possibly get his own supposed freedom so that Rufai will no longer be in any way influential into whatever will happen in Kaduna. Don't ignore that. But I have once told all of us here on this platform, because I do believe that, all right, that if all of us understand that the enemy we are against, the establishment, which comprises of everyone from every part of Nigeria, when you look at the basket of the establishment in Nigeria, all religion are part of them, all tribes and ethnic nationalities are part of them. They are like a coven of evil people that could only survive on evil. So when you understand the magnitude, when you understand the level of power at the disposal of these criminals, and you begin to look beyond your typical individualism, some of us believe that when you look at all these criminals, sometimes you see them as individuals that could be dealt with, especially the ones that you have sort of established what they represent. But in the long run, you will realize that the coven, the establishment in Nigeria, that comprises every demography, when you, like I said, ethnic or religion or class or, creed, the establishment comprises that. So when you now realize that the establishment protects their own, it's like it's like a swamp. And you know that in a swamp, you have all kinds of things in there. You've got reptiles, you've got, like a swamp, a skanking swamp. Okay, that is what the establishment in Nigeria is. It is beyond just the politicians. You have your pastors, your bishops, your imams, your sheikhs, your obas, your obis, your sultan, your emirs. You've got your village head. You've got the market head. You've got community head. You've got different kind of these that have their own, the establishments as their representative in there. So it's a conglomeration of, all kind of crawly character in a swamp. And if you really want to, for any reason, if you really want to drain that swamp, and you do not have the resources to drain it, sometimes self-destruct button, which the overconfident establishment always keep, they always keep that aside on their side. And the self-destruct button is when they begin to destroy themselves internally. And you build on that because they have to self-destruct the weakness, because the strength of the establishment comes from the reward that is accruing from it to those limited, crooked people that cut across all this clan I've told you. Seriously, the reward is really, really good. Nobody gets punished per se. Or if they can destroy themselves from within, and then you are enlightened enough, educated enough, never to reinforce them or re-empower them, having known who they are and the damages they have actually caused, then yeah, we can take on the establishment and get rid of it. Yeah, you can challenge the status quo and change it. And that's why it is important to pay attention to all of this, not to celebrate it, not to laugh at it, not to feel like it's a win in any way. It is not. And the reason why they still get rewarded is because few of us are aware the danger that these guys truly represent without putting our emotions into it, just using the facts and figures. And then you do not want to secretly let your emotion override the facts. And then you reinforce the criminals, who becomes even more powerful. You get what I mean? So who else would tell us, and then we will believe that El Rufai is not just an incompetent criminal, okay? It was in fact a wasteful, fanatic, a wasteful criminal that plunged generations of Kaduna. What do you call yourself in Kaduna? Kaduna, it's Abi Kadunans. Anyway, it doesn't matter. If you are from Kaduna State, see, that space, right? El Rufai, like Bokwari did in the 8 years of their, terror-infested regime, the future of 4, 5 generations, 6, 7 generations of anybody born inside that Nigeria have been traded off, mortgaged by Bokwari's government. But for the people of Kaduna, the little finger, Kaduna little finger has managed to plunge the future of the young and the old in the abyss of indebtedness. Not the debt that Kaduna can pay, by the way. Part of the lies they told people was that El Rufai had attracted so much investment to Kaduna. Let me tell you this. They told the world that the Kaduna's, listen to this. So they said Kaduna's annual IGR before El Rufai was 13 billion. And El Rufai borrowed money to build some buildings and roads and all of that. And he has improved the IGR of Kaduna State to annually 63 billion naira. Okay. 63 billion naira IGR. Well, that's not bad, but that's very bad. If you actually have sense, I tell you. Kaduna State relies on federal allocation. And in a year, Kaduna makes, at least averagely, Kaduna makes around 100, between 100 and 150 billion naira a year from the federal allocation, including local government money. And El Rufai that borrowed money to bring Card First, Kaduna investment. They were doing a drama then, where people were making bags, people making shoes. They will bring them and display them in a Kaduna fair under El Rufai so that they can cook the figure, they can cook the book and tell you investors are just flocking to Kaduna, a terrorist state under a terror sympathizer, El Rufai. There was no investor coming to any goddamn Kaduna. If they probably had a chance of going to Kaduna, it will be the southern Kaduna terrorized by El Rufai. I am not making this up. It was a dry run, but they were cooking the book until this guy came in and he said El Rufai lied to all of them. In fact, Kaduna is in debt. So they wanted to shut him up, like, shut up your mouth. What about